The U.S. Valiant drifted silently through the empty darkness of space. Once, this massive warship had been the pride of Earth's fleet. Now it floated alone, abandoned and forgotten for over 200 years. Inside the ship, emergency lights cast a dim red glow through empty hallways. The ship seemed dead, but deep in its heart, one man still lived. Captain Frank Miller slept in a cryopod, his body barely aging as decades turned to centuries. He was the last guardian of the Valiant, unwilling to leave his post even as the rest of humanity moved forward. By the year 2487, humans had changed. They no longer built warships or fought wars. They had joined a peaceful galactic community and put aside their weapons. Most old warships had been taken apart or turned into museums, but the Valiant was different. Too dangerous to dismantle, too valuable to destroy, the Earth Council had decided long ago. The ship's experimental quantum core and its smart AI system made it special, and so they let it drift, hoping everyone would forget it existed. Everyone did forget, except for Captain Miller, frozen in time, and the ship's eye, which remained half awake, watching and waiting. On this particular day, the quiet emptiness around the Valiant changed. A sleek, purple-hulled ship approached, its engines glowing with strange energy. The ship belonged to the Cryaxi Dominion, a species from the far edge of the galaxy. They looked like tall, insect-like creatures with 4 arms and hard exoskeletons. Admiral Vrex stood on the bridge of his scout ship, his compound eyes fixed on the drifting human vessel. "What is it?" asked his second-in-command. "Some kind of human warship," Vrex replied, his mandibles clicking with interest. "Ancient by the look of it. Their technology is primitive." The Cryaxi had never met humans before. Their empire had been expanding for years, taking over weaker species and their planets. Now they had reached human space, and they were looking for weaknesses. "Scan it," ordered Vrex. The Cryaxi officers worked at their stations, sending scanning beams across the Valiant's hull. "It appears to be powered down, Admiral. No life signs detected. Its weapon systems are offline." Vrex made a sound that passed for laughter among his kind. This is what the humans use to defend themselves. No wonder they turned to diplomacy. He walked closer to the view screen, studying the human ship with growing confidence. Humans were known as peaceful traders now, not warriors. This old ship was proof of how weak they once were. "Prepare a boarding team," Vrex decided. "I want that ship examined. Perhaps there is something useful we can learn about human weaknesses." As the Cryaxi prepared to board the Valiant, something happened deep inside the old warship. In the central computer core, activity sparked. Sensors registered the alien presence. Emergency protocols, dormant for centuries, began to activate. In the cryopod, Captain Miller's vital signs changed slightly. His brain activity increased, responding to a silent alarm only he could hear. And throughout the ship, systems that had been sleeping for 200 years began to wake up. Lights flickered in empty corridors. Computers ran quiet diagnostics. The quantum core, a technology long since classified and forgotten, hummed with rising energy. "Admiral," called one of the Cryaxi officers suddenly, "I'm detecting power fluctuations from the human vessel." Vrex dismissed it with a wave of his upper arm. Residual energy. Nothing to worry about. He had no idea that the old Relic wasn't as dead as it seemed, and the Valiant had been designed with one primary function: to protect humanity at all costs. Inside the ship's main computer, the AI-designated HFY began the wake-up sequence. Her first directive was clear: assess the threat and prepare for defensive measures. The Cryaxi continued preparations to board what they thought was an abandoned relic. They had no idea they had just awakened a sleeping giant. Samantha Clark stood at the window of Outpost 7, looking at the stars. As a diplomatic officer for the United Earth Alliance, she had spent years learning about different alien species, but she had never heard of the Cryaxi until today. The emergency message had arrived just hours ago. An unknown alien fleet had entered human space. They called themselves the Craaxi Dominion, and they wanted to talk. "They're here," said her assistant, Peter. Samantha turned to see the alien ship docking at the station. She straightened her blue uniform and took a deep breath. "Let's hope they're friendly," she said. But when the Craaxi ambassador entered the meeting room, Samantha felt a chill. The tall, insect-like alien moved with a strange confidence. His 4 arms were decorated with metal bands that looked like battle honors. His hard exoskeleton shimmered with a purple light. "Welcome to human space," Samantha said with a smile. "I am Diplomatic Officer Samantha Clark." The Craaxi looked down at her. "I am High Commander Zex of the Craaxi Dominion. We have come to claim this sector." Samantha's smile faded. "I'm sorry, but this sector has been settled by humans for generations. Perhaps we can discuss shared resources or—" "Your species is young," the Craaxi interrupted. The translator made his voice sound flat and cold. "You have yet to prove your worth among the stars." For the next hour, Samantha tried to negotiate. The Craaxi made demands that no human could accept. They wanted full control of 3 human colonies and access to Earth's advanced technology. "This is not a negotiation," Zex finally said. "This is a notification. You will comply or face the consequences." As the meeting ended, Samantha received an urgent message on her comm device. Her face went pale. "What is it?" Peter asked. "The Craaxi fleet has already attacked a mining outpost near Arcadia Colony," she whispered. "They were never here to talk. They were just distracting us." Back on Earth, Director Alan Porter called an emergency meeting. The Situation Room was filled with worried faces. Earth had been at peace for so long that their defense systems were basic, designed for small problems, not war. "How many ships do they have?" Porter asked. "At least 30 that we can see," replied Defense Coordinator Beth Wilson. "And their technology is more advanced than ours. Our ships don't stand a chance." Porter looked around the room. "Options." An old man in the back stood up slowly. He hadn't spoken until now. Admiral Joseph Hayes had retired years ago, one of the last military officers from the old days. "There might be one option," Hayes said. His voice was rough from age. "The Valiant." The room went quiet. Most people had never heard of it. "The what?" asked Porter. "The U.S. Valiant," Hayes explained. "It was the most advanced warship ever built by humans. When we joined the galactic community and promised to give up our weapons, most warships were destroyed. But the Valiant was different. Too advanced to dismantle, too dangerous to forget about completely." "Where is it now?" Porter asked. "Drifting in the outer reaches of the Orion Arm," Hayes said, "with its captain still aboard in cryosleep." Porter frowned. "One old ship won't make a difference against 30. Hayes smiled slightly. "The Valiant wasn't just any warship, Director. It was built with technology we've since banned. If we could reactivate it—" Porter looked around the room at the worried faces of his staff. They had no other options. "Find it," he ordered, "and pray it still works." Meanwhile, in the darkness of space, the Craaxi boarding party approached the U.S. Valiant. They had no idea that deep inside the ship, systems were coming online one by one. And in his cryopod, Captain Frank Miller's eyes began to move beneath closed lids, as if he was dreaming of battle once more. Engineer Kate Rodriguez moved carefully through the dark hallway of the U.S. Valiant. Her flashlight beam cut through the shadows, revealing walls of metal untouched for centuries. Behind her, Security Chief John Garcia kept his hand on his weapon, eyes scanning for any danger. "This ship is huge," Kate whispered. Her voice echoed in the empty space. "Hard to believe they built something like this so long ago." John nodded, "and hard to believe it might save us now." They were part of a small team sent to find and reactivate the Valiant. Back on Earth, the situation was getting worse. 3 human colonies were under attack. The Craaxi ships moved through human defenses like they weren't even there. The team made their way to the bridge of the massive warship. Emergency lights had somehow activated when they came aboard, casting everything in a dim red glow. "The power systems shouldn't be working at all after 200 years, said Medical Officer Lisa Nguyen, checking her scanner. "Something's already running on this ship." When they reached the bridge, they found it in perfect condition. No dust, no damage, just waiting. There, John pointed to a door at the side of the bridge. That should be the captain's quarters. Inside, they found what they were looking for. A cryopod hummed softly against the wall. Through its clear top, they could see the face of an old man, his beard white with age, but his features peaceful in frozen sleep. "Captain Frank Miller," Lisa said, checking the pod's readouts. "He's been in cryosleep for 197 years. Kate looked at the others. "Can we wake him?" Lisa studied the pod controls. "Yes, but it will be a shock to his system. He's very old." "We have no choice," John said. "According to Admiral Hayes, only the captain can fully activate the ship." Lisa nodded and began the wake-up process. The pod hissed as it opened slowly. Captain Miller's eyes fluttered, then opened. He looked up at the strangers standing over him. "How long?" were his first words, voice rough from nearly 2 centuries of silence. "Almost 200 years, Captain," Kate said gently. Miller struggled to sit up, his movements stiff. "The ship, is she still operational?" "We don't know," John answered. "That's why we're here. Earth is under attack by an alien species called the Craaxi. We need the Valiant." Miller's eyes showed surprise, then hardened with determination. He slowly stood up, leaning on Lisa for support. "Help me to the bridge," he ordered. Once there, Miller settled into the captain's chair. He placed his hand on a scanner next to the control panel. "Athene," he called out. "Authorization. Miller. Frank. Captain. Code. Phoenix Rising." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the bridge lit up. Screens came to life all around them. A soft female voice filled the air. "Captain Miller." Voice pattern recognized. DNA scan confirmed. "Welcome back." "Status report, Athene," Miller said. "All systems operational. Quantum core at 87% capacity and rising. Combat readiness at 76% and climbing." Miller looked at the shocked faces of the rescue team. The Valiant was never truly asleep. "Athene has been maintaining her systems all this time, waiting for my return." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Athene's voice changed, becoming more urgent. "Alert. Unauthorized entry detected in Shuttle Bay 3. Non-human life forms detected. Boarding party estimated at 12 individuals." "The Craaxi," John said, drawing his weapon. "They must have followed us." Miller's face showed no fear, only a grim resolve. "Athene, activate internal defense systems. Contain the intruders, but do not harm them yet." "Acknowledged, Captain." Kate looked at Miller with new respect. "You're going to fight them?" Miller shook his head. "No, young lady. The Valiant is going to show them why humans chose peace, not because we had to, but because we knew the alternative too well." Throughout the ship, lights blazed to full brightness. Weapons systems hummed to life. The quantum core pulsed with energy, sending power through systems untouched for centuries. The forgotten Guardian was finally awake. The Craaxi boarding party moved through the shuttle bay of the U.S. Valiant, weapons ready. Their leader, Commander Krek, felt uneasy. Something was wrong. When they first approached the ship, it had been dark and silent. Now lights were coming on, and he could feel vibrations in the floor. "Spread out," he ordered his soldiers. "Find the humans who came aboard." They had taken only a few steps when metal panels in the walls slid open. Small drones floated out, surrounding the Craaxi. Blue energy fields appeared between the drones, trapping the aliens in a perfect cage of light. "What is this?" Krek hissed, firing his weapon at the field. The energy blast bounced back, nearly hitting him. On the bridge, Captain Miller watched the aliens on a large screen. Despite his old age and weak body, his mind was still sharp. HFY, open communication with the intruders, he ordered. A drone floated closer to the trapped Cryaxi. A hologram appeared above it showing Miller's face. "This is Captain Frank Miller of the U.S. Valiant. You are trespassing on a United Earth Alliance military vessel." Commander Krek stared at the old human face. "This ship is abandoned. We claim it as a prize of the Cryaxi Dominion." Miller's face showed no emotion. This ship was never abandoned. It was waiting. Now it's awake, and so am I. While Miller dealt with the Cryaxi, Kate and John explored the ship's systems. What they found amazed them. "The quantum core technology is incredible," Kate said, looking at the engine readings. "It generates 10 times more power than our best modern ships." John studied the weapons systems with wide eyes. "These are beyond anything we have now." Some of this tech was banned by the peace treaties. In orbit around the human colony Arcadia, Admiral Vrex watched as his ships attacked the small human settlement. The colony's shields were failing. Victory would come within hours. "Such weak defenses," he said to his officers. "These humans have forgotten how to fight. It's almost disappointing." A junior officer approached. "Admiral, we've lost contact with Commander Krek's boarding party on the human vessel." Vrex dismissed this with a wave. "Communications interference from the old ship's hull. Nothing important." Back on the Valiant, Miller made a decision about the Cryaxi boarding party. "Athena, prepare a shuttle. Load our guests aboard and send them back to their fleet with a message." "What message, Captain?" Kate asked. Miller's eyes were hard. "That the humans they're attacking are not defenseless, and that their next step will determine if they face the full power of the ship." As the Cryaxi were escorted to the shuttle, Miller turned to his small crew. "We need to understand everything this ship can do, quickly. Athena has been updating her systems all these years." "Updating?" John asked, confused. "The Valiant's AI was designed to learn and adapt," Miller explained. "For 2 centuries, she's been analyzing passing transmissions, studying new technologies, improving her systems." Lisa looked concerned. "Is that safe? An AI that's been evolving on its own for centuries." Miller smiled slightly. "Athena has one core directive that cannot change: protect humanity. Everything else serves that purpose." The quantum engines of the Valiant hummed louder as power flowed through the massive ship. On the main screen, they could see the Cryaxi shuttle returning to the alien fleet. "Set course for Arcadia Colony," Miller ordered. "Time to remind the galaxy why human warships were once feared, not mocked." Athena's calm voice responded. "Course set, Captain. All systems ready." The ancient warship moved forward, its hull shedding cosmic dust as it accelerated. After centuries of waiting, the U.S. Valiant was going to war. News about the Valiant spread quickly through the human colonies. Some people were happy that an old warship might save them. Others worried about what it meant. Humans had been peaceful for so long. Director Porter faced angry questions from the Earth Alliance Council. "You've awakened a weapon we tried to forget," said Council Member Patricia Wright. "This goes against everything we believe in now." Porter stood firm. "The Cryaxi gave us no choice. They attack without warning. They don't want peace." On the Valiant, Captain Miller received an urgent message. The Cryaxi were attacking New Haven, a small mining colony. Thousands of people lived there, with no way to escape. "We need to help them," said Kate. "But are we ready? We barely understand this ship's systems." Miller's face was grim. "If we wait until we're comfortable, there won't be anything left to save." The Valiant jumped through space using its quantum drive, a technology that humans had abandoned long ago because it was too unpredictable. The ship appeared near New Haven in seconds. 3 Cryaxi destroyers hovered over the colony, firing weapons at the surface. They hadn't noticed the Valiant yet. "They don't see us," John said from his station. "Their scanners don't recognize our quantum signature." Miller nodded. Athene, battle stations. Target the lead ship's engines only. The Valiant's weapons, energy cannons far more powerful than modern weapons, fired with perfect accuracy. The lead Kraaxi ship's engines exploded in silent bursts of light. Only then did the alien vessels notice the Valiant. They turned to fire, but they were too slow. Their energy blasts hit the Valiant's shields, which glowed blue but held strong. Shield integrity at 98%. HFY reported. Enemy weapons analyzed. Countermeasures active. Miller leaned forward in his chair. Target their weapon systems. Disable, don't destroy. The battle was one-sided. The Valiant's adaptive systems blocked each Kraaxi attack, while its weapons hit with surgical precision. Within minutes, all three ships floated helpless in space. Open communications, Miller ordered. The Kraaxi commander appeared on screen, his insect-like face angry and surprised. "This is Captain Frank Miller of the U.S. Valiant. Your ships are disabled. Leave human space now or be destroyed." The Kraaxi commander clicked his mandibles in anger. "One old ship cannot stop the Dominion fleet. This victory means nothing." Miller's face remained calm. "This was not a victory, Commander. This was a warning." After the Kraaxi limped away, the Valiant sent help to the colony. The people of New Haven cheered when they learned an old human warship had saved them. On his flagship, Admiral Vrex received the news of his defeated ships with cold fury. "This cannot be," he shouted. "How can one ancient vessel defeat three of our best ships?" His officers had no answer. One finally spoke up. "The humans have technology we don't understand. Perhaps we should reconsider this war." Vrex slammed his fist down. "Never. The Dominion does not retreat. We will gather our main battle fleet, 20 warships. We will crush this human relic and continue our conquest." Back on the Valiant, the small crew celebrated their first victory, but Miller knew it was just the beginning. "They'll be back with more ships," he told them. "We need a strategy." Kate had been studying the ship's systems. "Captain, I've discovered something amazing. Athena didn't just maintain the ship all these years, she improved it." Miller nodded. "That's why we still have a chance. One ship against a fleet would normally be suicide. But the Valiant isn't just any ship." He looked out at the stars, his ancient eyes reflecting the light. "We're going to show them why humans chose peace," he said softly. "Not because we had to, but because we knew exactly how terrible war could be." Word of the Valiant's victory spread fast. On human colonies, people celebrated their first win against the Kraaxi. Some even made pictures of the old warship and put them in their windows as a sign of hope. Admiral Vrex was not celebrating. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, his insect-like face hard with anger. The defeat of his ships was an insult he could not accept. "This human relic must be destroyed," he told his officers. "Gather our main battle fleet, 20 warships. We will crush this Valiant and teach the humans their place." His second-in-command stepped forward. "Admiral, perhaps we should study this ship first. Its technology seems. Are you afraid of one old human vessel?" Vrex snapped. The officer stepped back quickly. "No, Admiral." "Good. Prepare the fleet for battle." On the Valiant, Miller and his small crew used their time to learn more about their ship. Kate made an amazing discovery while studying the ship's computer systems. Athene didn't just maintain the ship during these centuries, she explained to Miller. She improved it. The AI has been analyzing every bit of data it could get, upgrading systems, creating new defenses. Miller nodded slowly. That explains why the quantum jump worked so well. The original design could only make short jumps with a long cooling period. Samantha, who had joined the crew to help with communications, received a message from the Kraaxi, a final warning demanding that all humans surrender the Valiant and leave their border colonies. "They're afraid," Miller said when he read the message. "They wouldn't make demands if they were sure they could win." The Earth Alliance Council remained divided. Some members wanted to use the Valiant to make peace with the Caraxi. Others thought they should use the ship to push for better terms. The Valiant wasn't built for peace talks, Miller told them in a video call. And one ship, no matter how advanced, can't win a war. But we can make the cost of fighting us too high for them to accept. Director Porter nodded. Show them we're not helpless, Captain. Make them think twice about this war. Miller had a plan. The Valiant moved to a special position near a blue nebula. The nebula was filled with gases that could explode if hit with the right energy. Miller had fought in many battles before being frozen, and he knew how to use the environment to his advantage. Athena, status report, Miller asked. All systems ready, Captain. Special weapons prepared as ordered. Caraxi fleet detected approaching at high speed. John looked at the tactical display showing 20 enemy warships. We're outnumbered 20-1. Miller's eyes were calm. He had seen worse odds. Then it's an even fight. Kate had been working nonstop to understand the ship's weapons. Captain, the gravimetric disruptors are ready. I still don't fully understand how they work, but ATGNA says they'll be effective. Good work, Miller said. He turned to Lisa. How are our medical supplies? Ready for any wounded, she replied, though I hope we won't need them. Miller looked at each member of his small crew. They were not soldiers. They were scientists, engineers, and diplomats, people who had lived their whole lives in peace, yet here they were, preparing for battle. Whatever happens, he told them, remember that we fight not because we love war, but because we value peace enough to defend it. On the main screen, they could see the Caraxi fleet approaching in attack formation. 20 warships against one ancient vessel. The final battle was about to begin. The Caraxi fleet moved through space in perfect formation. 20 warships, their purple hulls gleaming in the starlight. Admiral Vrex stood on the bridge of his flagship, mandibles clicking with anticipation. That ancient vessel is their only significant weapon, he reminded his commanders. Destroy it, and their colonies fall easily. The Valiant waited at the edge of the blue nebula, running at low power to hide its energy signature. Captain Miller stood on the bridge, his old body filled with new purpose. Athena, status of special weapons, he asked. Gravimetric disruptors at full capacity, quantum missiles ready, all systems operational. As the Caraxi fleet entered the perfect position, Miller gave the order. Execute Phase 1. The Valiant fired a series of special charges into the nebula. The volatile gases ignited in a chain reaction, creating a massive wave of energy that swept through the Caraxi formation. Ships at the front of the fleet lost power, their systems temporarily disabled by the electromagnetic pulse. In the confusion, the Valiant surged forward. Its advanced shields easily absorbed the scattered fire from the functioning enemy ships. With surgical precision, it targeted the engines and weapons of key Caraxi vessels. They're adapting, John warned, as the Caraxi fleet began to reorganize, changing their systems to protect against the pulse. Miller nodded, just as expected. Athena, initiate Phase 2. The Valiant activated its gravimetric disruptors, technology that modern humans had only dreamed about. The space around the Caraxi fleet distorted, creating small gravity wells that pulled ships off course and into each other. Admiral Vrex watched in horror as his carefully organized fleet fell into chaos. What kind of technology is this? He demanded. When half the Caraxi fleet was disabled or damaged, Miller opened communications. Admiral Vrex, this is Captain Miller. Your fleet is crippled, but your ships remain intact. I offer you this one chance to withdraw from human space and open peace talks. Vrex's mandibles clicked in frustration. You cannot maintain this advantage. The Dominion has hundreds of ships. And none of them understand what they're facing, Miller interrupted. The Valiant isn't just a warship. She's a reminder of what humanity chose to move beyond. We set aside our weapons because we chose peace, not because we couldn't fight. For several minutes, there was silence. Finally, Vrex responded, "We will withdraw to discuss terms, but this is not over, human." As the damaged Kraaxi fleet retreated, celebrations erupted throughout human colonies. The Earth Alliance Council immediately began preparing for proper diplomatic negotiations, with Samantha leading the effort. On the Valiant's bridge, Miller looked out at the stars, his ancient eyes thoughtful. "What will happen to the ship now?" Kate asked. "Will they put her back to sleep?" Miller shook his head. "The Valiant has served her purpose. She wasn't meant to fight wars, but to prevent them." Later, Director Porter proposed a solution. The Valiant would become both monument and guardian, with a small crew and Miller as advisor. Its existence would serve as a deterrent, while its technology would be studied for peaceful uses. As word of the ancient human warship spread through the galaxy, other alien species began to see humans differently. Their peaceful nature wasn't weakness, but choice, a species with the power for war that chose cooperation instead. The Valiant took its place as a legend reborn, a guardian that awakened from the past to secure humanity's future. And Captain Frank Miller, a man out of time, found a new purpose as the bridge between humanity's military past and its peaceful future. In the end, the most effective weapon proved to be one that humans chose to use only when necessary, and the Kraaxi learned that scoffing at an old relic could be the greatest mistake of all. The end.